and welcome to another episode of the Film As We Know It podcast, a show that's run by and for cinema fans. I'm your host, Zach Hamilton, and with me as always is Tim Callahan. Tim, what have you been up to since our last episode?
Not much. We had to get prepared, I guess, somewhat for a tropical storm coming through.
Now, what is prepared for you, Tim?
Just making sure that groceries, went shopping, that kind of deal. Made sure there was nothing that could fall down and break anything outside.
Now, we got hit roughly around, what was it? Friday morning was when it was supposed to hit us, at least.
Yeah.
Remnants, of course, of Hurricane Ian, which, again, thoughts and prayers go out to those people affected by that, because Lord knows I know that your wife, as well as, my fiance's family and friends, got heavily affected by that in their hometown of Naples, Florida.
Yeah,
is just rocked. But knowing that it was going to hit Friday, when did you go and get prepped? Was it literally Thursday night? You're like, oh shit, maybe I should look into this.
No, actually, because I saw that it wasn't going to hit us till really like Friday afternoon, they said, and it ended up being later than Friday afternoon too. But so I knew I had some time, so I woke up on Friday because they canceled school here.
Yeah,
so I didn't have work on Friday, so I got up, breakfast, all that, and then I went to the store. And then really the difficulty this weekend was keeping the kids entertained for like basically 48 hours of indoor stuff. That was kind of brutal.
I feel you.
Yeah, Meg was doing it. My wife was doing her master's stuff and working hard and doing good stuff with her, getting her master's, and so it was me, keeping the kids entertained. Did the best I could. A lot of board games. A lot of board
games are clutch. Yeah. The thing for us too was I made sure that we had lanterns, since we moved in the new house. I didn't have stuff like, just lanterns, stuff like if we lose power. Candles only go so far. That you think that they're going to, emit a lot of light. They really don't, because most people don't have candles that are meant for that. So we definitely had that. I did go to Target and I got some stuff. Mostly just like bottled water for the dog, just in case we had plumbing issues or whatever like that. We didn't have running water. And then, like I said, the lanterns, it was funny because I was there and I checked out and the lady's like, man, it's getting really, really busy all of a sudden. I wonder why. And I'm like, well, there is a tropical storm that's going to hit us tomorrow. She's like, oh my God, get out. Really? And I'm like, yeah, tomorrow. And it was funny because I'm like, I should probably, because I did it on Thursday, because we had most of the stuff. It was just like, let's just get a couple of things, nothing major. And so I left, I took a late lunch and I took a late lunch and I went there about 4:00, right before everybody got off work. So of course, as I'm leaving, everyone's coming in. I'm like, whoa, timing clutch, because I got in and out of there right before everybody else did. But speaking of keeping kids entertained, and you might catch that I'm out of breath. I won't be out of breath, but you might catch a slight different Zach here in a second, because I'll edit it out, but I'm going to run and go get it. But I got this insane Lego build set for Luca, because he's been heavy into Lego, because I got this massive assortment of Legos in my house from when I was a kid, and he makes his own stuff. And I'm like, well, we've been watching Lego Masters. Let's get something a little amazing. You know what I'm saying? A little extra sloths, something really cool. Not but
take
the
it
kids
up a notch.
Yeah. So I got a flipping Charmander. The thing is literally, I'm going to go get it right now, but I'll get it in a second here. You'll notice by the jump cut, I'm sure. But it's awesome. It is the coolest thing ever. It was daunting, my guy. Like, we spent an hour on it. Mind you, I have him helping me. It's not like it's just me doing the thing, get my stuff, my brick on, if you will, keeping it in the Lego Masters theme. But so I have we had our whole little setup, and I have a video that we did for his YouTube channel. Yes, question me and judge me all you want, parents, of our setup. But we had like a TV tray here, which was our build station. We had the instructions over here. Then we had a little area that whatever bag we were on, all the Legos were there. So he was like my guy that was getting me all the stuff to put it over, organize it for me, and then kind of telling me what to do. And then I was doing it just so he was involved, because it was kind of hard for him to actually click in some of them, because it's a very intricate build. But that way he was involved, because obviously it's not like I don't want him to just watch me make a Lego. I mean, that could be exciting, I guess. And then we had Pokemon in the background. Look at this thing.
Wow.
Oh, know where the camera is.
Does its legs move and arms move? Oh, wow. Okay. And the mouth. Wow.
I feel like Vanna White, and show them what they've won. And then his tail, this is probably the craziest, most intricate thing here, this little flame ball. But like literally these open like a flower. This is probably the hardest thing I had to build, but you can see they kind of, open up. And then it literally is adjustable. It's crazy. Like, it's like literally I built an action figure out of Legos. And it's dense. Like, this probably weighs 4 pounds. Like, it's got some heft to it. Like, all the insides of this is like straight up like solid Lego that I had to actually assemble myself. We'll figure out a way to position it so he isn't there. So now he's just chilling in the corner. But anyway, so enough show and tell. So, but I understand and I can sympathize with you that I built a 750 piece Lego Charmander with my little one to keep him entertained. So I feel you. So should we get Halloween month started and this show officially kicked off?
Yes. Love horror month. Spooky season is here.
Oh, it's here. It's here. I'm excited. As you can tell, my lighting's slightly a little bit different. It's a little more orangey. Still got the blue light because I'm going to have a little contrast in our lives. But yeah, man. So I think we should kick it off with, well, we literally just debated this leading up to the episode, what the question was, but not a trivia question, but from a very famous movie that I'm sure you'll recognize. Tim, what's your favorite scary movie?
Scream. There's nothing I quote more than Scream. Yeah. I love that movie so much. My brother and I will go back and forth with Scream lines all the time. There's not a day goes by probably that I don't think of Scream and we'll throw it in. I think I even threw it in the last episode of Don't Worry, Darling. I threw in a Scream line. It's my favorite. Yeah. I love it. It reinvigorated horror movies. I love to go back to it. It's just so much fun.
Well, and for the attuned listener too, they'll notice that Patrick, that was his movie that really that was your movie. Was it yours or Patrick's that got you back into horror? Like officially, it was yours. That's right. Because you said that you were saying that you were like not too like you watch horror movies, but it wasn't something that was like big on your thing. And then when you saw Scream, you're like, okay, now I want to start going to the theaters.
Yes, that's what kind of got me wanting to go see it in theater. Yeah, exactly.
Clearly, I pay attention. Hey, I wasn't on the episode. Okay, so it's not like it's a collective memory here. All right, so there you go, listeners and viewers. I'm like really making a lot of eye contact.
He does care.
It's like he cares, but also it's very aggressive.
But totally, yeah. So Scream was definitely wanting me to go to a theater and check out horror movies. Made sure I saw the second one in theaters. I didn't see the first one in theaters. I can't remember which one of us drafted it too, but
I've seen all of them except for the latest, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Yeah, it was good. Yep.
Yeah, I need to.
The only one that's really not good is the third one. The third one's pretty bad.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Well, because there was a gap between 3 and 4, and I feel like in the fourth one they actually kind of like let's make sure we do it right this time.
Yeah, 4 is okay. Not nowhere near as bad as 3, but the best ones are definitely the first 2. But nothing's as good as the first one.
I sense a list coming, but but yeah, no. So for me, it's got to be The Exorcist, man. It's a classic. That music, the theme song, like all good horror movies of that time in the 70s, 80s, 60s, they all had like these really great theme songs. And I remember the first time I saw it, which my fiance probably won't care for this. We'll say it was a friend, but I was 16. And we were looking for something to do after our Halloween party. And so I'm like, well, let's rent a movie. So I rented The Exorcist. I'd never seen it before. And I'm like, how scary can a movie this old be? Put that movie on. I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you, 30 minutes into that, I'm clutching a pillow being like, you better be a man about this. This isn't you got to be a man about like, don't be scared. Don't be scared. And she's like losing it at this point. But I'm like, you got to be strong. Be strong on the outside. Cry on the inside. It's a freaking terrifying movie, man. Like you don't. And I think it's like with most great films, again, I know my business is visual effects, but something that, is time and time again, movies that hold up, movies with fantastic practical effects that are older are the ones that are going to stand the test of time. Like they and I love all the little intricacies about that film and the filmmaking behind it. Because the craziest thing about that film is the makeup. Okay. So you've got, what's the elder priest? I forget his name. It's Maximoff or something like that.
To be honest, it's kind of been a while.
Max von Sydow. There you go.
Something, oh yeah, Max was a Max. Yeah.
So the part that I love about that is the makeup was so amazing in that film that he could not get work after the film released because he kept sending his headshot, and they're like, "Hey, yeah, okay, I get it. This is a great headshot. You look great, my guy. You look amazing, but you look nothing like this. You're old. You know, you're like, I just saw your latest movie. You're like 60, 70 years old." The guy was 40. So it's actually one of the best old age effects makeup in cinema history is on that film because that guy is not actually old. He's only in his early 40s when he made that movie. But they did such a great job on the elderly priest and the exorcist that he literally could not get work after the movie release because everyone thought he was sending an old headshot. And it was like, no, man, that was old age makeup. But in fairness, you're not thinking about him. You're thinking about, Linda Blair.
Sometimes you can really tell when old age makeup is bad. It's distracting. So yeah, totally. It holds up and you don't even realize it. And also too, I think as he aged, he kind of ended up looking like his character in that movie.
That's the craziest. And I think the best compliment that you could give to an effects makeup artist is literally that, right? Like he straight up matched what that guy looked like now that when he hit that age. It's crazy.
Yeah. And speaking of like practical and old school effects that just hold up and stand the test of time, I'm going to throw out The Thing. That movie is fantastic. The Kurt Russell, The Thing, and those effects still freak me out. It still creeps me out. And it's like one of the bummer things of watching the newest one or the remake one or whatever. I guess it was a prequel, I guess. And watching it just of the effects wise, just like, not that I guess it was overly bad, but just based off of what the original and how good it was.
Well, and you have to get so creative when you're dealing with practical effects, especially anything that's moving. I mean, Alien did this well too, with the little alien monster, right? That pops out of the chest. It's just so good. But Dick Smith, by the way, is the person that deserves all the credit for The Exorcist and many other very, very famous horror films. That guy was an absolute legend of a makeup effects artist, and I was responsible for the old age makeup as well as the rest of the makeup for The Exorcist and leading that effort. All right, so it is time for us to get into our second to last segment, movie of the month. We got to announce it. Got to let people know what we're watching this month, what we're going to review. And this month, it's going to be, in keeping with Halloween month, Halloween Ends. 4 years after her last encounter with the masked killer of Michael Myers, Laurie Strode is living with her granddaughter and trying to finish her memoir. Myers hasn't been seen since, and Laurie finally decides to liberate herself from rage and fear and embrace life. However, when a young man stands accused of murdering a boy that he was babysitting, it ignites a cascade of violence and terror that forces Laurie to confront the evil she can't control. So again, Halloween Ends will premiere on, I believe, October 14th, which is next Friday. We will be watching it, and I'm sure enjoying it.
Well, I guess technically that's next Friday, because we're in the next week. Sorry, my bad.
It's all good. We record early, guys. Just make sure you guys got content.
Yeah.
And again, while I mentioned that, I will say apologies for the late release. I, again, have a massive ear infection that no longer hurts. But I couldn't hear, and it felt like someone stabbed me in my ear. So the idea of putting on these awesome headphones and editing a podcast was not really ideal. But very excited. Supposedly the last of the main main Halloween films.
Yeah, it won't. They don't end. Yeah, I'm doing this with all the pain possible here because I don't enjoy this franchise. I really don't.
What? I mean, they have ups and downs.
There is way more downs. There is a reason. There is a reason when my brother and I did our favorite horror movie franchise draft.
And it wasn't on there.
Neither of us selected.
You're really making it hard for me to announce what we're doing next week, which is literally ranking the Halloween franchise films.
Oh, it's going to be fun. I have watched all of them.
I'm going to also include the Rob Zombie ones as well as the offshoots. Those will still be in there.
Yeah. They got to be.
So we're going all the Halloween movies, not just the core with the main cast and everything. We're going all of them.
Correct.
Including the reboots. But we're going to be doing that next week. So that's our filler episode. And to that point, like I said, we're switching our schedule around. The third episode of the month is going to be our in-depth review of Halloween Ends. And that's because, you know, it comes out on a Friday. We release episodes on Wednesday, so we wouldn't be able to watch it in time because it won't even be released. So it comes out Friday again, October 14th. Be sure to send your 30-second audio review or a written review to our email, which is filmasweknowitpod@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on socials. Look for the hashtag filmasweknowitpod, and you might get featured in our in-depth review of Halloween Ends. Right. We're going to take a quick break, get ready for our next and final segment, and we'll be back with you guys in a few moments.
We have a very special version of the top 8 this month. We have a panel. We will, for the first time, be doing a proper top 8 draft with 2 amazing guests. And this month, it is top 8 horror films of 2022. Before we get into specifics, Zach, do you want to intro the guests?
I can intro one. We have the wonderful Emily joining us, who has been on the show before. To the keen listener, when they hear her voice, might recognize her from a past episode of Trial by Contacts. And I believe she got the question right, which is the reason why we're here. Really, she had that question right. I'm like, she's got expert knowledge that we need to bring to the show. So there we go. So that is Emily. Emily, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tim, do you want to intro our other guests that people might be a little more familiar with?
Yeah, my brother has returned. Patrick, how you doing, buddy?
Doing okay. Like being called amazing. That was fun before. We can go back to that.
Yeah. Well, look, let's be real. You did a well enough job on the last episode, despite all the shit talking that went on with me not being here to defend myself. I figured, now that's the real reason you're here.
Not enjoy that? Do you have an issue with that? Oh, man.
There's no top 8 list. It's actually, I've called you here just so I can, lambast you on the show.
Take me to task. All right. Hey, I like it. I got called adequate too, so I'm liking that win.
There you go. So getting into specifics. So we're doing a proper draft this time. So we're still doing top 8, but the pressure's on. So we each are going to get 2 picks. We'll go one at a time, and then we'll go back through the order again. I don't know how we're going to determine the order of this. Should we, I don't know. How do we, I can do a randomizer or we could guess a number and we could do that. And I can just choose a random number generator.
Sure.
All right, here we go.
Number generator sounds good.
It's got to be fair, right? I don't want to just be like, whatever. You guys. All right.
Random number sounds like it would take way too long too.
Right. Okay. So I'm going to refresh the page. I'm not going to look at it. So it's going to be a number between 1 and 100. Whoever's closest is going to get first pick.
Oh, wait, we are going to do that? Oh, man, that sounds terrible.
What? Well, what are our other options?
Oh, man, I don't know. I thought you were just going to randomly do an order with numbers or something.
No, okay. Put
I numbers in a spreadsheet, assign them, and let's do this. Randomize it.
I mean, we can do a dice roll. That makes it a little easier. How do you want to do this?
This is riveting podcasting.
I know, Patrick. I'm trying to keep it moving here, and he's all like, "It's not."
You think picking a number like 1 through 100 is keeping it moving?
I'm not saying you got to get the exact number, Tim. I'm saying the one who's closest gets smarter.
All right, fine. Price is right. Got it.
There you go. High, low. All right, here we go. So you guys choose a number between 1 and 100. And I'm going to generate this bad boy. So Emily, you go first. You've been nice to me so far.
7.
7. Okay, she wants 7. Patrick, go for
91.
it. 91. All right, we're going extreme opposites here. Tim, you want to cut down the middle?
Yeah. I'm going to go with 55.
55. Okay. Remember your numbers. Okay. Here we go. All right. Doing it. I'm going to say, 7, 55, 91. I'm going to go with 41. There we go. The number was literally 8. So there you go. Damn. Went with the specific number. Almost got it. So I think it's safe to say Emily gets first pick. All right. Do we want to? We'll do this real quick. All right. One more time.
No, you were next closest. Then Tim.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, thank you, Patrick. Keeping it going. There you go. You got to keep Tim on his toes because God forbid, I do anything that's going to derail this show.
So what do I do? Just tell you my.
Yeah. So what we'll do. So we're going to go. So we'll go in order. So it'll be you, me, Tim, and then Patrick. and then we'll go through the order again for the last. So you get the first pick.
Okay.
The only real thing here is it has to be from 2022. Now, I am going to caveat this. This also includes anything that was released in the US 2022. So that could be an asterisk if we want to add it to the list when we put it on the website, because I'm going to do a major overhaul.
Yeah, festivals don't count. That's not fair.
Yeah, so it'll be a US release of 2022.
I'll have to check that.
Yeah, that was messing with me when I was looking at stuff to watch last night.
Yep, because it got confusing, because then it's like, well, 2021, but it came out in the US 2022. So that's what we're going with.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't see the movie in Finland in 2021. It didn't reach me until this year.
Why penalize us, right?
Yeah. I don't have a passport yet, so couldn't get there.
My first pick is Fresh from Hulu.
Damn you, Emily. You stole my list. I didn't think anyone was going to choose it. I'm like, no one's going to choose this. It's awesome.
All right. So, everyone's talking about Dahmer right now. And maybe I'm just like desensitized to Dahmer because I've listened to so many podcasts. I've seen so much about him and everything. This takes Dahmer to like a different level. It was at first you're like, what is this movie? It's
spoiler warning. We will be talking about movies in depth here. Go for it.
So this woman who she's in the Crawdad Sing or something like that. It's a new movie. She's an up and coming actress. I think she's pretty good. And she's like in the dating world and doing the whole online dating thing. And then she goes on this horrible date with this guy who's like misogynistic and just dull. So I'll get out. And then meets this awesome guy, and comes Sebastian Stan, who is really, making a new name for himself for sure.
Interesting roles lately.
It is definitely a diversion from Bucky Barnes.
Or Tommy Lee.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Tom Lee could have been into some weird stuff. Who knows? He's famous.
I mean, who knows?
Probably not this random.
Yeah. And, a girl, of course, sets you up. She has very little family, very few friends, pretty quiet, and keeps to herself and just ignores like all of the red flags, like all the red flags. When my daughter's old enough, she will be watching this as like what not to do.
That's why I love horror movies. It's exactly what they're there for, to like a guide map, like, oh, don't do this.
Now, I will say, to that point, Emily, the one thing that was a redeeming quality until she kind of got screwed, which I'll let you get there, is that she was trying to follow, even though she didn't have family, like, letting people know like what she's doing. And that was from the get, like even in that first date, letting people know like where she is. So she was, trying her best.
Yeah. And then she left her better judgment at the door with a pretty face and his doctor.
Dreamboat of a man shows up into your life, I guess, I
don't know. Steve and the clean food, like the grocery store. I get it, but no, she's no. And then even her best friend is like, I don't know. Like he doesn't have any social media. Have you even Google stalked him?
That is a pretty big red flag.
You don't even have his last name, and you're going to go away on a trip with this guy. Yeah. And I'm like, first of all, I'd be sharing my location with my bestie this entire time. Like,
that's the easiest thing to do, share location, even without service.
Which, fast forward, her best friend is smart enough to do that.
So what's Steve's secret? Like getting to that lovely aspect. So what's this little secret? What's this awesome guy?
Like, this romance, and then plot twist. It just completely turns on you. So there's a lot of foreshadowing. I mean, obviously it's fresh. You get close-ups of chicken and them eating. They play with the sound of them eating, which I hate the sound of people chewing and stuff. And they really just play into that. And you're like, ugh. Like in the synopsis of the film, they tell you that he's into some weird stuff. So you're like, okay, he's into some weird kinky stuff. I thought he was going to like cut her up and like maybe eat her blood. I don't know what was going to happen. And then it just completely turned from that. And you kind of see it when she's looking at the portrait on the wall, and it looks like a tooth in the painting. And you're like, ooh, what's happening? And he drugs her. She wakes up. She's chained to the floor. And he's like, I like you. It's okay, but you're not going to like what's about to happen. And she's like, what's about to happen? And he's like, well, I'm going to sell your meat. And you're like, oh, okay. Like, how? And he's like, basically, he's like, the fresher the meat, the better. And so I'm going to keep you alive. Try not to stress out or be scared, though, because it taints the meat. And we don't want to. We want fresh, happy meat, like free range chickens. And oh my, like
it's such a crazy movie.
Yes.
Patrick or Tim, have either of you guys caught this film yet?
No, I haven't yet.
It's on Hulu. So
Hulu. It was on my list to watch. I haven't gotten to it yet.
It is like it's such an amazing performance by Sebastian Stan. Like he's like, the problem is with Dahmer, and if you're watching that, if any of the viewers have watched that show, I won't spoil it for you because we don't touch into TV. I mean, most people know the story of Dahmer, maybe not the intricate details that it gets into the show.
Pretty famous. Yeah,
but it's Dahmer, man. Like the guy, it's not like Ted Bundy, right? He's not charismatic. He's not like, you're like, that guy is off. All right, something's wrong with him.
No, he's a big loser. Yeah.
Sebastian Stan takes Ted Bundy to a whole nother level because he's saying all the right things. That is a good
comparison. Yeah,
super nice. He's like, dresses down. He seems very open, very approachable, like hitting all of the marks, right?
All right, but I gotta jump in here for one quick second.
Yeah.
Bundy wishes he looked like Stan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm furious that every time they show pictures, they keep on making a Ted Bundy movie and they make him look like he's James Bond. I'm like, no, he was never that good looking.
No.
It had to have been charisma. That's the only thing that I could see, like, like a personality thing.
I don't understand it at all.
Yeah. He wasn't like a complete creeper, stereotype psycho.
Yeah.
He looks normal was the whole point.
But he never looked like Zac Efron. So I'm like, stop it. Stop casting these people.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's that fun.
So Sebastian Stan is in this fancy ass house, by the way, where she's locked up is also like, it's concrete. It's in the basement. But
one of the things, we're going to go to my house and you don't question why he was at a supermarket by your apartment, but you drive like over an hour to his house.
It's the first thing I said to Jacqueline. But and this was me, trying to, and I knew there was going to be a shift. Obviously, it's marketed as a horror movie. The first 15 minutes of this, it's a typical romance movie, rom-com. I'm like, well, he was visiting his sister and his niece. Maybe that's why. So that's how I kind of explain that away. Which is also crazy because it's not until 15 to 20 minutes into the film that they even do the title card and the credits. Like, that was crazy. I'm like, holy shit, we're just getting to the movie, guys. Like, it just started 15 minutes and it's enjoyable.
It was an interesting way of doing it. You're like, okay, everything's about to change. Kind of like how they did the time jump in Game of Thrones.
This motherfucker sings and is playing music while he's chopping people up. In a surgery room. It's not it's not graphic in that sense. He's a doctor. He knows what he's doing. They're under anesthesia. But he's just singing.
And as a woman, it's your worst nightmare. Everything that could go wrong goes wrong.
Yeah, she's paralyzed. He's like, I gave you an epidural. You're fine. You're not going to feel anything. And he's like,
well, he only did it after she broke his trust.
And that's the best part is he goes... It's the best part. He goes, so she breaks his trust because she tries to escape. And he goes, so you broke my trust. And he goes, so now I'm going to take your ass.
Literally cuts the meat off of her ass. And the other thing I don't understand is why he chooses these really skinny girls.
That's true too, yeah.
So the only reasoning I could think of, and of course my mind would go, I'm like, this is who you want for meat? There's hardly anything
it's
there.
It's the fetish of it, I think.
No, I think it's the healthier they are.
Okay.
And then my other question was the whole Dahmer thing. Well, if they had tattoos, do they taste worse?
That's interesting.
He says men don't taste as good, but the whole fetish thing of women, and that's why it's predominantly women. Yeah. And he literally cuts off her ass.
It's a point to the show. She's constantly, it's hilarious. There's other victims too. We're not going to spend too much time. We got 7 others to go, but I highly recommend it. I know we've spoiled quite a bit, but in fairness,
it takes some more turns down the road. It's worth a watch.
I love how this motherfucker is literally singing to her while he's chopping off her ass. And is like, da, 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 like having a great moment, having a great life.
I mean, the payday that he's probably getting from this white girl's ass is, I'd probably be singing too.
Oh my God, dude. It's just, it's crazy. So that's a good one. And it was definitely very unique. Highly recommend that movie very much. So that's a great pick. Obviously, I'm going to be on your side because it was on my list. And this is why I have like 5 choices in case you guys steal them. And I tried to go out the beaten path, Emily.
I did too. I did
beat me to it. All right. So it's my turn. So there you go. I get to pull back some control here. Let's see. Let me look at my notes. I'm going to go with another off the beaten path. Well, it's tough because one I have on here is listed as a horror movie. I didn't necessarily feel like it was a horror movie, but it was good.
Was it Prey?
No, it's not Prey. Unless we get into that conversation. I'm going to go with, okay, you know what? I'm going to leave it to you guys. C or W? Tim, C or W? Choose C or W.
C.
Okay, The Cursed. The Cursed. Well, I have two.
Good for you.
Yeah,
that is actually on my list.
There you go. I have 2 on there. The other one started with a W. We might get to it. So The Cursed is this fantastic film. It's a period piece. I believe it is in the 19th century.
Yeah.
And it's a werewolf movie, but dude, it is not your typical werewolf film. Like it really, number one, really, I don't know that they ever did this in real life, but they show them attacking gypsies that are taking their land. In fairness, the gypsies claim the land as their own, and the whites come in, the white people, as you will, and they're like, you know,
colonizers.
No, this is a problem for us, so we're going to give you a chance. We're going to threaten you. They don't heed the threat, so they proceed to massacre an entire lot of gypsies, as you do. And the gypsies, as they do, curse them. But what they do show, and this is freaking gnarly, and it does become kind of a centerpiece of the film 100%, is they take one of the gypsies, they freaking chop off his hands and his feet, put him onto a board or like a stick platform, stuff his arms, like with his shirt, with his straw, his feet with straw, put a bag over his head and proceed to lift him up and plant him in the ground like a fucking scarecrow while he's still alive. And then he just dies out there. Presumably.
Oh, I bet it helps their crops.
Yeah, right. And dude, that's such a terrifying sequence. I'm like, man, we're going there. Like, it's pretty gnarly. Like, it's not graphic. It's just like, damn, man, I can't even imagine going out like that.
Well, there's definitely some graphic stuff in it. The werewolf transformation stuff is top notch.
And so this is the part. So to Patrick's point, and Patrick, we can geek out about this for a second here. It's not your traditional like, oh, my arm is turning into a werewolf arm, whatever. Dude, straight up, like they get attacked, thus they become a werewolf kind of scenario. I don't know necessarily that it's too linked to midnight and stuff, or like to like a full moon and stuff, because people are transforming at a pretty heavy rate, almost like a zombie outbreak. But what is disturbing is like there's like these weird tentacle looking vine things that come out of the wound and basically like pull them down, like either into water or into like it lures them out in the forest. And then that's kind of how they transform as this weird vine looking thing. And then they turn into
like cocoon thing, if I remember right.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
cocoon type effect. Yeah.
So they're viney and werewolfy at the same time?
They pop out of that and
they come out of this vine type like cocoon
I get
as a werewolf.
So it almost like plants them and roots them into the ground and they become anew.
There you go.
Interesting.
It's disturbing as hell. Yes,
how was Kelly Riley, Beth from Yellowstone? How is that departure for her? I think of her being like this badass mouthy bitch.
No.
Well, not that.
Okay, then it is a departure. Yeah, because like she's okay. So is she
ruthless.
Is she a British actress?
I think she's Australian or New Zealand.
Okay. Because like that's the thing. It's hard to tell because actresses in general are like fantastic about
English.
Like
she's English.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So she does have an English accent in this. So that's good because I think of her as an American because of, that show. And is our accent easy to like mimic? Because dude, British actors for the most part never get that wrong.
I don't know.
But American actors get British wrong real fast.
There's plenty of British people that do I'm going to talk really, really slow so I can do an American accent and like everything's dragged out.
Okay.
Or they go Southern. They always want to go Southern because they're scared to do a normal mid-Atlantic accent. They can't do it.
I feel like
Ewan McGregor, happy to do Southern, scared to do New York.
Yeah.
Pennsylvania.
But if they do New York, they overdo it. And then it kind of borders into Boston and New York. And you're like, eh.
Yeah.
So I think she has a great performance. Screen time's not a lot, but what she does with it is powerful. I mean, she plays the wife and mother of the main character, who's kind of the initial incident that unfolds in the film. Again, I'll try not to spoil too much. So there's a lot of grief on screen. There's a lot, and there's quite the climax at the end too. And I cannot remember for the life of me who plays John McBride, but he was also in. Was that Boyd Holbrook?
Boyd Holbrook.
There you go. Yes. And it's so sad because I love that guy. He's fantastic in Logan, as well as the original Narcos series.
He's good in The Sandman.
I still haven't seen Sandman, and I want to see it so bad. It's on my list.
It's so good. It's so good.
But he's fantastic in the film as well. But yeah, I just think it was like a really cool, unique twist to the standard werewolf type movie. And then on top of that, like the way it's shot, man, atmospherically, it's amazing. Like it's a really well shot film.
A lot of fog.
Hence the atmosphere. You really feel it. Yeah.
You kind of have to with a werewolf movie, right? If you don't have fog in a werewolf movie,
you're making a gothic movie, you're going to have some fog.
Yeah.
I will say though, for it being kind of like that gothic period piece, it was very entertaining throughout. Like it never felt like it was super slow. There are definitely slow moments, but I felt like pacing wise, it wasn't too bad. I think it could have probably been maybe 15 minutes shorter though. I do think that might have been a sweet spot for it, but still good. Obviously it made my list. All right. So The Cursed. Tim, you are up.
All right.
What is your selection, my guy?
I'm going to go more mainstream. Sorry. And I'm going to go with Nope.
Oh, I want to see that so bad.
It's so good. And it was rightfully just in IMAX was something else too. Seeing that thing in the sky in IMAX is great. And the scene where everybody gets sucked up was still one of the most horrifying scenes I've seen all year.
Emily, you haven't seen this yet?
No, I want it. So
Tim, be nice.
I'll just leave it at that.
I'm okay with spoilers. I've read up on it and stuff. It is alien based, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. We'll leave it at that. Because there's still other spoilers if you don't know. Yeah.
My husband doesn't like watching scary movies, and so I don't get to like.
Yeah, my wife's the same.
And I feel like scary movies are meant to be shared, and you watch them with people, and it just, so I'm behind on a lot of stuff, but that's on my list. And I love Keke Palmer and
she's incredible.
Just the main cast in there. And I love what Jordan Peele's been doing and I'm really excited for his new claymation, I think it is, that they're doing. And it's like the first one where it's like all black clay characters.
Oh, Wendell in the Wild.
Yeah, and it looks so good.
I had one of my friends worked on it for a long time. She was one of the artists on the show.
It looks really
the effects
really
artist, but yeah.
Well, Nope. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think he's getting better visually. Each movie, I think he's really honing his craft, and I think Nope really achieves that.
For sure, 100%. It's a fantastic film. The scene that you're referencing, by the way, I've heard chats between you and Patrick where you guys reference Fire in the Sky. Yes. I freaking hate that movie with a fucking passion because that could have very easily been my scariest movie when we were talking about favorite scary movies.
Yeah.
You know what? No, it's not my favorite scary movie because it's too real. Okay. Like I lived in Arizona. It made me scared to go to Strawberry, Arizona, which we went to Flagstaff a lot. So that made me it's near that area. Like, the way that they capture like an alien encounter, like it is scary. Like if that's how it actually is, nah, I'm good. Let's avoid that because I don't want to believe that is terrifying. And you are right to make that comparison for sure.
Yeah, the movie freaked me out too. And it was the first, I think Patrick and I both got that same thought while watching that scene. Like, oh my gosh, this is Fire in the Sky. This is taking me back. Like I'm getting PTSD from watching that movie as a kid.
Fire in the Sky and X-Files are going on at the same time. They're coming for us sometime.
I love X-Files, by the way. But yeah, Fire in the Sky, it was too real for me. Okay. It took it too far.
When I think of aliens, I think of Close Encounters of the Fourth Kind. Because that one I had to like Google, like, is this real? Is this
Mila
real?
Jovovich movie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was like,
it was like tape. Isn't it found tape stuff or something?
Yeah.
That one, I was like, oh my God. But
pretty gnarly. Patrick, my guy, you are up. What is your first pick?
Well, I'm delighted I get to use my orphan first kill.
Nice.
My absolute best time.
Yeah.
I will be watching it this evening.
Have you seen the original?
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. So we got the same actress coming back after 13 years. She's now 23 years old and still playing a 9-year-old girl.
Did it work?
Oh, it works good.
Okay.
But
I mean, clearly she's not looking the same, but it doesn't matter. That's not what this movie's about.
The details bother me.
It bothered me too.
They use really a lot of stand-ins. They raise the furniture to be higher, and all the adult actors are wearing platform shoes, so they stand like 6 inches extra higher than her.
Patrick had convinced me to watch it because I was kind of like, that sounds kind of stupid. I'm not into it. And Patrick was like, just wait. And I'm like,
Patrick's enthusiasm is the reason I'm watching it tonight, if I'm being honest. And the fact that you agreed with him.
He's right, because it literally, when it happens, when the turn, whatever in this movie happens.
Hold on, brother. This is my movie. You had a chance to pick
Tim.
it.
Let the man speak over here.
I went nuts texting you in that moment.
The first hour or so, it is a standard horror slasher. You know the deal. You're like, okay, I don't know what's going on, and then something happens, and then the whole movie. Let me just say, Julia Stiles, incredible return from her. Just an awesome performance, and you're going to be thinking about this movie for weeks on end. Just like, that was so much fun.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm excited. Thank you for being kind.
I think the word Patrick used when you were watching it the first time was, I'm just cackling.
Yep.
Nice. Well, I feel bad. You guys have both been very considerate with movies that, either myself or Emily hasn't seen, and we kind of went off the rail on Fresh, but there's but in fairness, there are still plenty of random twists that happen in that film that will still keep it fresh for you guys, if you know what I'm saying.
Clever.
Anything else you want to add about Orphan First Kill before we jump to our next pick, Patrick? I want to make sure
you don't need to have seen the original movie to enjoy this, but it helps a little bit.
Okay.
Just get to that hour point, and your jaw will be on the floor.
I think you appreciate the turn more if you've seen the original.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that even with prequels, a lot of times it helps to still see the source material, because they'll do those little nods that kind of make you appreciate those parts of the film more. Cool. Emily, your last pick.
Okay.
What do we got here?
So I watched another one, but I don't think it's top 8 it's more of slap horror, kind of like The Evil Dead, which was my best friend's exorcism on Prime, but that's not what I'm picking.
Oh, okay.
I watched that last night. I liked it a lot.
I did too. It had a lot of Evil Dead Heathers meets Jennifer's Body vibe. But
they're all good things.
I had to look up the definition of horror. I was I don't know if this
it's all horror.
That's literally me with my W one that I did.
I thought it was going to be more comedic.
Yeah.
And it took itself way more seriously than I was expecting. And the comedy came in a little bit more towards the end.
I wish there was more comedy, or at least more like The Evil Dead. But I decided to go with Crimes of the Future instead.
All right. Cronenberg.
It is definitely artsy horror, I guess you would call it. It's a think piece for sure. But it's got that kind of factor to it.
Sitting in the chair trying to eat.
Yeah.
That chair, I've been thinking about that chair for a while.
The chairs and the beds are very interesting, very artistic. It almost makes you think of Guillermo del Toro in the Pan's Labyrinth.
That's a great compliment to the film.
It's Cronenberg, so everything's made out of flesh.
Yeah, it's dystopian. It's in the future. There's no technology, but there is very high biotechnology. There's no Wi-Fi, there's no camera. So she draws pictures instead, but yet they're cutting people up with these really intricate machines. So it's in the future, they don't say when. Pollution and climate change has caused biotech to really boom. And so they no longer feel pain or physical pain, emotional turmoils all over the place. And
pain's got to go somewhere, right? Into the mind.
So what Kristen Stewart's character pretty much says is surgery is the new sex. And so, because they don't feel pain, so they're basically cutting.
Oh, Zach, it's worth watching just for her performance alone. And there's more to the. She is just weird and horny. And
a lot of people get turned on in very weird moments.
Oh yeah.
And there's this moment between Viggo Mortensen and Leah
Sadu. Yeah,
Sadu. Thank you.
The cast alone and plus what you're telling me makes me very interested to see how they take on this type of a movie.
So just like a baseline, Viggo's character develops organs, like regenerates organs. So part of his art is getting them removed.
Jesus Christ.
And like people come and watch it and so on. And
it's the new pleasure house, I'm gonna watch some organs flop on the ground, maybe get a little action, fun
and
stuff.
then there's so many layers of things happening like all at once, and it's just like the evolution of humans is being monitored or trying to be like controlled, but at the same time it's happening. Yeah, and it's so interesting, and there's so many layers, and it's worth a watch. It's definitely
I like it. I like the cast. I'd spent on like every top list I've seen. It's been highly recommended in my when it tells you like you should check this out.
And I'm with my makeup background, the guy covered in ears was just like gnarly.
Zach, quickly Google Crime of the Future chair. Okay. I want you to look in that chair and think about sitting in it.
All right, so guys, we're gonna put it on the podcast. Crimes of the Future chair. Nope, I'm good.
The bed is similar,
and the chair moves around with you to help you digest better.
Yeah,
it's so icky. He's like, no.
He's like riling in pain just from eating.
Yeah,
but the artsy part where Leah has this like thing that looks like a organ on her chest, but it kind of glows like Thanos's glove with the Infinity Stones, and she's like playing it like an accordion or some shit on her chest.
Even looking up Crimes of the Future chair and seeing some of the random images that are popping from this, I'm gonna quit looking. But god damn, like holy Jesus,
it's very Cronenberg.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very Cronenberg.
King of body horror.
Yeah.
Damn. All right, it's my turn. That sounds awesome. I'm definitely checking that out. Well, shit. You kind of put me into a tough spot here. Because I think we're gonna have to go. I said CRW. I'm gonna go with it. Now, it's not your traditional horror film in the sense that it's either. Again, I guess Emily maybe could speak to what is the definition of horror.
It's a malleable term.
Yeah, there's different subgenres.
That's where we're coming. Okay.
Yeah.
You guys have given me enough slack.
Is a great way to put it.
What'd you say?
I think subgenres is a great way to put it. Like the definition is like scare or disgust is to entice scare, like fear or disgust.
Fear. Okay. Fear is good.
And then you kind of go on.
Horror action, horror comedy. There's a lot of different flavors in horror.
You guys have given me enough slack to be able to pull this one off. And in fairness, I've seen it on a lot of people's lists in general, but I like to make my own decision. Like I want to watch movies. I watched 3 movies alone last night to try to like really see if they were worth, mentioning. Busted out the projector and everything was fantastic. As you can see, this is now my second monster for this podcast because your boy's tired and we got a football game happening soon. All right. The movie is The Watcher.
Oh, that was on my list. I want to watch that.
I just watched it last night. I think it's just called Watcher, right?
Watcher. Sorry. Apologies. Yeah. Watcher. So the thing is, again, like I said, it's not your traditional, like, we're talking about like either really gory or like very traditional with the werewolf or, that kind of dystopian, like, stuff that you kind of think of even with
scary because it can happen.
Yes. That is 100% it, right? Number one, if Liam Neeson hasn't taught you anything in the Taken franchise, you just don't go to other countries. Okay. Just don't do it. Especially if you're a woman, because bad things like the world. Yeah. In general, it's just bad. Don't do it. It's so terrifying. Emily, I don't envy your station in general. Like, goddamn, like it's so terrifying. But yeah, it's a great film. It's a bit of a slow burn, but at the same time, like, I think because of that, it really makes the payoff a lot better because, you're feeling that anxiousness and that, like, there's a lot of gaslighting happening. Number one. Okay. Like that's number one. That's the main thing. Right. So the premise of the film is this American woman moves to Romania with her husband for his job. And
that's an interesting choice.
She doesn't. Yeah. Romania. Right. Which, by the way, I got to say, it really paints Romania in a good light in the sense that, like, as far as like how it looks. Right. Like when I think of Romania, I guess I just don't. It's not what I picture, like what you see in the film, right?
It looked like a really cool city to hang out in.
100%.
Really beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful. They take really like hardcore appreciation of their landmarks. They don't like people taking photos. That's the whole thing that happens at one point.
Only drawback is the entire culture doesn't seem to believe in blinds or.
Bro,
it's like right away this problem solved with curtains.
So more and more, I wrote down when I watched the trailer for this, I wrote down You season 1, like vibes.
Yeah, right.
And so more and more, that's what I'm hearing.
It's very much Rear Window with a woman as the main character.
So the premise of the guys, it's mine. Let me intro it here. Jesus Christ! Like, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. You guys are good. No, I love it. No, but in fairness, like, so basically she moves to Romania. She doesn't speak the language, but she's trying to learn it to surprise her husband, which boy does she. I'll leave that for you guys to discover. But it's an awkward moment for him, not a fun moment like she had planned. But yeah, so she's in this new country. She doesn't speak the language. So there's that loneliness that comes with that, right? Like, you're trying to, go out and do stuff, but you have that block, that barrier. But one thing that happens, and let me tell you, by the way, like, I've lived in cities. I lived in Vancouver, and I had a very similar setup where you had a building very close to you that you could very easily see into. I had curtains.
Yeah,
I had curtains.
My man, way to go.
But there is an air of people watching. Like, I didn't have my curtains drawn all the time. Sometimes I'd have, and you're like, whatever. They see me watching TV. Not a big deal, right? You kind of get used to it. But dude, it's so freaking creepy because she notices this guy across the street freaking staring at her. And at first it's like, okay, whatever, happenstance, happens to be looking. She's looking out the window too, right? I'll get to that, where she's also looking out the window, right? And you could think that's creepy. But as it continues, and each night she sees this guy just like staring with like very minimal light, like out the window. It's freaky,
is that
man.
His face when he's staring?
Yeah, well, it's kind of there is one moment
really.
There is a moment where you do kind of see his face, and it's not lit well, but it's kind of this blank stare.
Yeah, you take a while in the movie to actually see what he looks like.
You don't, but you do see like eyes, like some kind of like a stare, whatever. It's not like a, hey, what's up, guys? I'm looking out, or like he's not moving around a lot. He's just literally like stoic, not moving, almost like if it's a dummy in the window, which who the freaking hell would do that? That would be so mad.
Yeah.
Well,
they do a good job of being like, she clearly should be freaked out. And and by the way, she's been doing a lot of good stuff lately. It Follows and the other movie she did in horror, but The Guest. And so she's doing a good job in it, and she's clearly like good reason why she's freaked out, but at the same time they do a good job to show like if you're in the other people's perspectives, like clearly she's overreacting. And
I'm not going to get to like, because there's other ways that this could go. Like, as you're watching the film, like it could go either way. Like, you're like, well, you kind of feel like it's probably this, but maybe he's a red herring or whatever. Like, I'm not going to spoil too much of it, but it does escalate because as she starts going out, she starts to see this guy who she think might be the guy that's across the street. But again, to you guys' point, you don't really see his face, but could be the guy. It's definitely a man. Is now starting to see him elsewhere. Also, another thing that's kind of like a grounding point of the film is that there is a serial killer loose in Romania. He is killing people. There are accounts of a survivor who's like, I felt like I could see them watching me. I felt like, so there's things that are getting into her head that would make her already on edge to begin with. But like the main thing is, and this is why I'm talking about the gaslighting, and this isn't like a huge spoiler or anything, but she's in a store, she sees this guy kind of really for the first time that you're actually getting an idea of like, is this a person that's watching her? There's this awkward exchange where he's kind of following her, but maybe he's not following her. But then it starts like, okay, this guy's like genuinely doing some creepy shit. It's weird. She ends up hiding. And then later on, she comes back with her husband. They look at the security camera footage. Now, initially, I'm like, oh, it's going to be so weird watching on a camera because you're going to see how long he really was looking at her versus when she noticed he was looking at her. But it actually looks a lot more innocent in the camera footage because you don't see him all the time. But you do clearly see that they're like, you know, coming together like at points. You see them. And her husband says this line, and this is kind of the gaslighting. Like, number one, guys, I'm going to say this real quick. If your woman tells you, hey, I feel uncomfortable, I feel like someone's watching me, or I feel like someone is like, you know, following me, take that shit seriously. Okay. Because in general, like, I don't feel like there's enough men out there that have female friends or have talked about this kind of stuff with either their significant other or, you know, friends that are female, but like, it's different. Like the level of alertness, I don't want to, you know, mansplain this.
They play on that in Fresh as well in the beginning.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like you really don't understand like how much of an alert state you have to be at every single freaking day. Like, again, this is why I don't envy you. Like, seriously, like it's insane. I
visited family in New York and I had to go to the corner store for her and she gave me her keys. I was like, what the heck is on this key? And it's like Mace on it. Like, oh yeah, like I don't have to do that. I don't have to worry about that.
I have a cat with pointy ears. And I made sure to get a clear one because I was like, I'm going to get this fucker's DNA, you know, like and I'm going to see it.
Things you don't think about. So like, but again, like when they say stuff like that, take that shit seriously because this is his response. Okay. His response is, well, maybe he's staring at the woman who's staring at him. Like you're the one that's kind of, you know, this awkward, like maybe it's just a miscommunication where you guys are just like, why the fuck
would I be staring at him?
Like, dude, she's scared enough to be hiding in a motherfucking like employee only zone. Okay.
Isn't
like,
she an actress as well in this? Like she
retired or something.
Yeah.
So it's not there's that element too. She's not just narcissistic.
The whole stranger in a strange land thing is really playing into her. So everyone's just thinking, well, she just is not from here. She doesn't understand the culture and all that. And that's why I think she's overreacting.
This dude continues to work super late. Like, I'm sorry, but like,
oh, he's never there.
He's never there. And the thing is like, you're like, well, how late is it? But the thing is like, if she's falling asleep on her computer, like clearly it's late enough that like, it's not like, you know, oh, it just got dark. Like it's clearly in the wee hours, this guy's coming home.
So he's sleeping with somebody.
Either he's sleeping with somebody or like he takes his job way too like, and again, I understand, trust me, I have a very high, you know, stress job myself that can demand hours of you for sure. But like, you're in a different country, dude. You know, your significant other's freaked out. She doesn't speak the language. She feels like someone's freaking following and or watching her. So even when she's home, she doesn't feel safe. Like maybe make an effort to make it to dinner on time, you know, or to like be home more when it's nighttime and it's freaky, you know, like there's also literally serial killings happening in your area. And you literally walked by a crime scene of one of the serial killings down the street, dude. Like it's just like her husband sucks. Okay, like he sucks so hard.
Jeremy, my husband, he's pulled into like a parking lot and there'll be all these spaces up close and he parks all the way in the back next to like a creepy van. And I'm like, what are you doing? You can't do that. And he's like, why? And I'm like, creepy van, sun's going down, there's no light post, just go up to the front. He's like, why would I do that? I'm like,
and again, Jeremy is a mountain of a man, very heavily tattooed, the sweetest guy ever. Like that guy's the best, right? But like, if you didn't know him, you're like, I'm not fucking with that guy, you know? But again, it's just a different perspective that I think this movie does a really good job of just showing like how hard it is to get people to believe you if you're a woman, especially in a different country. Because everyone that they play to that too, like, oh, it's a hysterical American, right? Like, oh, it's so dramatic. But anyway, so go watch the movie. I think it is definitely worth a watch. It's a fun one.
But in Europe, it's like completely different. In Italy, men will if you're a woman by yourself, men will literally follow you down the street and catcalling basically. And it's totally normal. And so, I mean, it could be a part of the Romanian culture. Who knows? But either way, it's uncomfortable.
It sucks. It's city living, right? You know, like it's oof. All right, Tim. Final
I just
pick.
want to say one more time.
Oh, yeah.
Burn Gorman is awesome. And I want a movie with Burn Gorman and Jeffrey Combs in one movie together.
Yes.
Ooh.
That would be phenomenal.
The dude is just killing it, man. Like, he was fantastic in that Godfather, I guess, biopic type series.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh, it's really good. The Offer. Highly recommend that. It was
Who's
really entertaining.
That?
He's like the head of the financing company that basically funds Paramount.
It's no one famous or anything. Okay.
Also on Netflix this month is a new The Watcher, and it's a very similar synopsis to that.
Wasn't there a Keanu Reeves movie also called The Watcher?
Sure was, buddy. He played a serial killer.
Yeah. That's a fun one too. Also very weird. Great soundtrack. Rob Zombie calling it back to the old pre-chat that we had before we got the guests on the show, talking about the monsters. All right, Tim, pick.
All right,
hit me.
My pick is The Black Phone.
Okay, nice. That was on my list too.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke is just killing it in this movie. He's so creepy. The voices, the masks he puts on.
So here's the question, though. I swear I saw this movie release in theaters during the pandemic, and then it just disappeared and then came back.
Yes, I think it got a re-release.
I don't remember that. The trailer was playing for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I swear during the pandemic, like during quarantine, when they were doing like a soft open in theaters, it was out. Like, it might be one of those like Shazam things, but
yeah, like a collective, like we feel like,
maybe it does say 2021 on it, but I definitely saw it this year.
I know it appeared like Beyond Fest.
That's a festival, but I swear to, you know what I think it might be, Emily? I think that they aired trailers for it with an earlier release date. That might have been during that time.
Yeah, actually, it was supposed to come out like 6 months beforehand or whatever, but then the buzz on it got so good they pushed it back. Like, no, we're going to give this a better release date.
I think that's what it was. Is that there was because they were playing a lot, like it was in theaters, it was on TV, like it's going to come out like literally like in a couple of months or whatever, like close, and then it got delayed. You didn't hear much about it, and then they did the set. So I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
nice. But it's a lot of fun. Good times. Good movie. Just watch it for Ethan Hawke, really.
The kid actors are really good in it too. I mean, the
kid actors are really good.
If they weren't good, the little girl, the boy who's been kidnapped, excellent.
And I was impressed with the what's the dad, Jeremy Davies. I really was worried at first when I saw him. I thought, oh no, we're gonna get some really over the top stuff going on in this movie, but he really wasn't. He was pretty contained and did a really good job. And a lot of fun.
And it's also Joseph Hill's short story is the premise of it, or at least the basis of the film, which, if you're not familiar, that's Stephen King's son, his son has been killing it with his adaptations lately, man, like Lock and Key. He also had a short-lived series starring Zachary Quinto on AMC called Nosferatu. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But he's had a lot of really great stuff. He's had some amazing success with graphic novels as well. And it's always interesting when you get someone like that.
Hello there.
Oh, we have a new guest on the show.
Sorry.
You're good.
Yeah.
I'm shocked Luca hasn't made an appearance myself, if I'm being honest with you. He's been too good.
Luca wouldn't be appropriately dressed though.
Yeah. The kid's like sometimes got a shirt, sometimes doesn't have a shirt, sometimes he's in his underwear. I don't know. He's good.
Sounds like a boy.
Yeah, it's a typical boy.
Oh, speaking of, I have a present for Luca.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Well, we'll have to have you guys over.
Squirrel moment.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I definitely highly recommend that movie for sure, Tim. And it's part of the reason I didn't mention it too, is I figured it would make its way out of the list, much like Nope. So I wanted to try to get some obscure stuff that maybe you guys might.
For sure. Yeah, it seemed like all of you guys were going to go more obscure. So I was like, all right, I gotta represent the mainstream, I guess.
I like it. Black Phone is awesome though.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre hasn't popped up.
Yeah,
I'm not at
mixed.
all.
I think there's a lot of people that are mixed on it, whether they liked it or not.
I didn't bother watching it.
It is on par with the majority of the franchise.
Okay,
take that what you will.
Fair enough. Let's hope that's not the case with Halloween Ends, our movie of the month.
I'm not feeling confident after Halloween Kills, but hopefully.
At least it's ending.
Yeah, well, they say it's ending. Is it really?
They say, yeah.
Patrick, my guy, let's close out our draft. What do you got for me?
Well, I like to point out that I didn't know how many picks we're going to be getting, so I made a list of like 16 movies.
Patrick, you're so much like your brother. You don't even know. Like this guy.
Well, I see movies throughout the year. I don't just binge the night before like some people.
Hey, I didn't binge the night before either, although some of these made it on the list, but you know.
No, I'm teasing. But so I already told you there are movies I like more than the one I'm going to mention. But I wanted to give different flavors of horror since I've already done Orphan First Kill, which is like you're laughing and having a great time.
Yeah.
Great. I want to do something that actually freaked me out and terrified me. Speak No Evil.
Oh, that was on my list to watch. I haven't seen it yet. Please tell me more. Okay.
So I didn't really like I like the first few seasons of The Office, but most of the comedy doesn't work for me. I can't stand the cringe, the embarrassment.
Yeah.
This is a horror version of that.
Interesting.
Where you have this Danish couple, they go out to Italy for a holiday and they run into a Dutch couple and they hit it off and they decide to go in, spend a weekend with them at their home in Holland. And it's just like, boiling a frog, right? Or whatever. It starts off slow and low temperature and slowly creeps up. And you're just like, they're not quite all red flags. It's not even your work, but you're just like, they keep on pushing the boundaries just a little bit each time. You're just like, there's something not right here. You got to go. And they actually do leave at one point. And then something happens like, oh, we forgot something. We have to go back. And they convince them, no, it's fine. We'll be better.
Buy a new one.
That's what I'm screaming. Like, no.
That literally happens in Fresh. I'm not going to give the exact context, but there's something where she like forgets her phone. It's like, I got to go. And even her friend's like, dude, like better hurry up. Like,
well,
what are you doing?
That's only because her phone didn't have any signal. She's like, oh, I have Verizon. It'll work.
Yeah. Can you hear me now? The serial killer victim's phone.
So it just seems so plausible that you could run into this couple and hit it off and have a great time. And then just like, what? Well, that doesn't make any sense, but it's okay. We'll just ignore it. We're having a great time. And then just keeps on building up over and over and over again until you're just like, oh my God, stop being polite and run. This is terrible.
Yeah.
And
God. Now I have a question without getting too much into spoilers for you, Patrick, but, is it like an overly, because I read the synopsis and I'm like, there's ways that this could go. I, again, haven't seen the film. Is it like overly gory or is it not so?
There is one scene of gore.
Okay.
But it is quick.
Yeah, because I feel like this could go into some hostile territory or something. I'm not sure where this.
I gotta say, if you are a parent with a child, it's not going to be a good time. Because the child is always in danger. You're just like, no.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. See that concern as a parent. Yeah. I get you. Yeah. Yeah, I love the freaking random, it's not random, the parent guide on Vudu. I don't know if you guys have ever read that, but it's so funny because like they'll talk about like, this is why, this person should not watch this movie or whatever. Like there's this and it's like, oh, there's a lot of gore and there's all this and there's that. And not for Speak No Evil, but just in general. Like it goes into like heavy, like, oh man, they really don't like this film for kids. But then it's like, however, it's very educational when it comes to sex positive mindset. And then it's almost like this weird, like, are you telling me that they shouldn't watch it or they should watch it? Like I'm very confused because like halfway into this it took a shift.
No, it never goes into like hostile territory as far as the gore is concerned.
But then again, I'm just talking in general to the Voodoo Parents Guide, right? Not literally.
I mean, like I said, when Evie's old enough, she's watching Fresh as like a what not to do.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. All right, cool. So now we have our list. So we've got Fresh, The Curse, Nope, Orphan First Kill, Crimes of the Future, Watcher, not The Watcher, The Black Phone, and Speak No Evil. Top 8 must watch horror films of 2022 thus far. There you go. Yeah. There you go. Look at, because Werewolf by Night, by the way, I'm excited for, and Patrick, you should totally be excited for, because it's very Hammer film feeling. I don't know if you've seen the trailer.
I did.
But they literally talked about that being a huge influence to the filmmaking of that. And I know you're a big fan of that.
I am. I'm just looking forward to that. I still need to see Smile, Hellraiser. Looking forward to.
I haven't seen freaking Barbarian still, and I want to see it.
What's wrong? You gotta see that.
I know. I've seen the trailer 1,000 damn times. I know. I'm gonna be repping them here in about 30 minutes. I hope to Christ they win. They're playing the Seahawks, but we won't get into the sports talk. But yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, there's a lot of really good movies. I tried to get Tim to go on a double feature date with me last night, but sadly, I wasn't able to get him out of the house. So
hurricane stuff, man.
I'm like, we could watch Smile and we could watch Barbarian, literally back to back.
And my wife could kill me.
Well, Tim first kill, not Orphan first kill. No, or I guess Megan first kill. There you go.
Yeah, I would be the first one to go.
Right. And then she'd come after me subsequently. We'd both be in danger for sure.
Death by Megan using the candlestick in the bedroom for seeing 2 movies in one night.
Instead, I got Jack to watch. She ended up watching all 3. She's very sick right now. And so we stayed at home and had our own movie night, busted out the projector.
The problem with watching scary movies with Jacqueline is when I get into it, she starts laughing. And I'm like, stop it.
It hurt to laugh because she has a lot of coughing fits. What she did do, which is really infuriating, she kept and again, it's like infuriating, but I felt bad because it's like, oh, honey, I'm so sorry that you're not feeling good, but stop fucking coughing. I'm trying to hear this. It's a quiet moment. It's like, and by the way, it sounds like death. It's like, it's not like a pleasant cough. I'm like, dude, why have you not seen a doctor? He's like, I'm seeing them this week. I'm like, okay.
The last scary movie I remember seeing with Jacqueline was Tusk.
Nice.
And I was so disturbed.
She laughed a lot in The Conjuring. We saw Conjuring 3 together, and she laughed at that.
So I can't watch scary movies with people who laugh because I'm like, you're ruining it.
It's not necessarily that it's not scary. I think she's just in those moments. She doesn't know what to do. So she
mechanism.
Yeah. That's what it is.
Fear, which I would hate to be in that scenario. And then someone just like, you're hiding from something scary. And then they just start laughing and you're like,
oh my God. That's like those 911 calls where like, speaking of women in perilous situations where they're ordering a pizza and the 911 operator is like, hey, you called the wrong place? Like, no, I didn't. And she's like, oh, are you in danger? And she's like, yeah, I would like 2 pizzas. Like, oh, and then she's like, how many people are in there? She's like, there's 3 we need 3 pizzas, 3 pizzas. Like, okay, so there's 3. That was an actual 911 call, by the way.
I mean, that's stuff that we're taught that you guys aren't really taught to do. Like it's like, I remember at my old job, we had a defense class come in and it was all these things of ways that we had to change our life not to die.
It's the same thing with people of color too.
Yeah, it's insane. I'm like, why can't you just be decent? Which goes into what my mom always says about horror films is, don't you think about the people who wrote this stuff? What's wrong with them? And I'm like, that's true. And
Stephen King's got some skeletons in that closet, let me tell you.
Fresh, no. I'm like, I would not put it past anybody for this to actually be happening. Like, not at all.
All right. Well, there you have it. So we have our list. We've got some cautionary tales. And everyone be better, be better. Be better versions of yourselves. Jesus Christ. Be the change.
Lead the horror to the film.
Exactly. I love it. Tim, do you want to lead us out, my guy?
Yeah, well, thank you for our guest, by the way, for coming in and doing this with us.
Good thing.
Appreciate it. All right, that's it for this week's episode. Please show your support for the podcast by leaving a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, or wherever you happen to listen or watch the show. Also, sharing with your friends never hurts. Be sure to follow us on social media to get the latest show updates. You can find us by searching for the hashtag Film As We Know It Pod. Lastly, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Film As We Know It podcast. Thank you very much, everybody. Peace out.
Thanks, everybody. Have a week.